Just continue to be a physical presence on both sides, but really my thing is to concentrate on the things you can control, which is, looking to score and not looking to get fouled as much, playing through contact and not looking for a call or letting missed shots affect you on the other end. And so they went after him tonight, anytime he had it in the post, and he found guys, and that was the reason we had those wide open looks. And so some nights it's going to be a scoring thing, some nights it's going to be facilitating, and he has to be able to do both. But my biggest thing with him is, I say to him, get the European out of your game and play through stuff. Stop crying.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up.
I've said it before, and I'm sure I will say it again, but Ime is absolutely priceless. Can you imagine your boss actually holding a press conference saying, if Dave could just get the European out of it and stop crying, he might actually be a great salesperson at the end of the day. I mean, it is absolutely amazing. He is absolutely priceless. And if you're wondering why the Houston Rockets improved last season from 22 wins to 41 wins, well, that right there is a prime example of what leadership actually is. Welcome to the NBA Rundown. On tonight's show, we are going to talk about the Houston Rockets. We're going to talk about Ime as well. We're going to dive in a little deeper into this Houston Rockets team and have a discussion about whether or not this particular Houston Rockets team could actually take down the Oklahoma City Thunder in a 7-game Western Conference Finals. All right, that is the topic on today's NBA Rundown. Hey, new to the show, please go and subscribe, and of course, like this video. Also, check out our audio version, which is available on Google, Apple, or wherever you happen to get your audio podcast. But we begin tonight with Ime. Now, I'm going to get into the players and how they're actually doing and whether or not this Houston Rockets team can really make a serious run at that Western Conference title this year. We'll get into that in just a little bit. But I did want to sing the praises of Ime. I mean, seriously, look at where this Houston Rockets team was. We know exactly why Ime is the Houston Rockets coach. There were all of those things that went down in Boston. A lot of it actually seemed to be a little bit extreme. I mean, considering he had a consensual relationship with a lady and actually ended up with a 1-year suspension by the Boston Celtics, which at the end of the day just seemed a little bit harsh. I'm going to play a Matt Barnes video for you in a little bit. He's going to talk about that. But before we do that, I want to play a video from Shaq and Charles Barkley. Then we'll play the Matt Barnes video, and then I'm back with some final thoughts.
Ime Udoka has done a great job of teaching them how to play like a team. Last year was, Jalen and whoever. Now they're moving the ball. Everybody's getting their fair amount of shots, and they're playing very well.
It's given them stability. They changed. This team, man, Ime's done a fabulous job.
I was on ESPN with you guys about this, but I'm off until next week. But I definitely want to touch on this Ime Udoka situation. Just saw a year suspension was just handed down by the team for an inappropriate, consensual situation with a female that worked in the organization. I've been in the league played in the league for a long time. Anyone who played in the league could tell you this is a very common situation. This is not new news for people who've been in the league or even around organizations. I've seen it from owners to executives to coaches to players to trainers to therapists to dancers to PR ladies. Like, this is not uncommon.
So a lot to unpack there in terms of what went down in Boston. I think it's old news at this point, but it is safe to say that Ime is probably secretly in his own man cave actually just thinking about the revenge that he's actually currently starting to have with this Houston Rockets team on the rest of the NBA. especially maybe even the media itself, who did not necessarily come out and defend him in any real way. Now, there are a few people over at ESPN that did do that and did it in a tactful way. The last thing I'm going to say about this topic is there were a few people that didn't defend him and didn't wait for all of the facts to come into play before they moved to judgment. And I think you all know who I'm actually talking about. Now, in terms of Shaq and Charles Barkley talking about Ime this year with this Houston Rockets team, I think he's spot on. Look, this Houston Rockets team is pretty loaded. It's got Dylan Brooks, it's got Jabari Smith, it's got Şengün, it's got Amon Thompson, it's got Jalen Green. Look, Reed Shepherd hasn't really gotten a lot of playing time yet. Fred VanVleet was actually out in their victory against the LA Clippers in Los Angeles. I should also note that James Harden did not play in that game. But at the end of the day, this Houston Rockets team is pretty loaded. I didn't even bring up Tari Eason. Look, this is a very good Houston Rockets team, and it is also what I like to call a streaky team. They can certainly lose a couple games in a row against some pretty mediocre basketball teams along the way, but they can also string together a bunch of victories in a row. So the question that I sort of opened the show off with tonight is, can this team legitimately win the Western Conference this year? Now, I'm not talking about next year, and I'm not talking about potential trades that could or could not help them actually get over the hump. I mean, seriously, how many times have you seen trades actually go down in the middle of the season and ultimately the team doesn't get better, it actually gets worse? And one of the reasons for that tends to be coaching. Another reason is coaching's inability to create team chemistry. And if that team chemistry isn't there, a team's not actually going to go deep into the playoffs. It's as simple as that. So when I look at the makeup of this roster, outside of a couple small additions to this team, I think in a 7-game series against the Oklahoma City Thunder, assuming everybody's healthy, they will probably be a little bit undermanned. Now, that doesn't mean I believe they can't win the Western Conference Finals if they were to play the Oklahoma City Thunder. You have to remember, good coaching really does matter in the association. And I believe that Ime is one of those coaches that can absolutely, without a doubt, make a big difference for a team that goes on a deep playoff run. I mean, we saw him take the Celtics to the NBA Finals before he ultimately got canned by the Celtics for that inappropriate relationship, which, once again, was consensual. At the end of it all, it is safe to say that this Houston Rockets team is going to get even better throughout the year. I expect them to actually end up in the 3rd or 4th spot in the Western Conference, assuming everybody is healthy. Now, we know Fred VanVleet is actually dealing with some soreness in his knee. He put up 38 points in a game last week. Look, he's a key part of this team actually going on a deep playoff run. There are some other players that they could lose and probably get away with. Fred's not actually going to be one of them. I also want to reiterate that I would love to see Reed Shepherd actually become more comfortable in the NBA and have a breakout game or two before the NBA All-Star break. I think it's important from a confidence perspective. We know how he played in college. We know what he did in the summer league. I think he just needs some real playing time, not 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here. I think he needs a couple games where he's actually allowed to play legitimate minutes, 25 to 30 minutes in a game, for him to truly find his way. Then you can put him back to the bench and bring them in as needed. Just some thoughts around Reed Sheppard. All right. That's it for today's NBA Rundown. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions. Please go ahead and drop those in. Hey, once again, thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. For the NBA Rundown, I'm Dave DeBaugh, wishing you all a tremendous rest of your sports viewing day.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.